Shock and horror gripped Nibo community in Awka South, Anambra State after a young male point-of-sale operator was electrocuted by a falling high. The incident happened over the weekend while the man stood outside his shop directly beneath the power line. His lifeless body lay untouched for days, the life cable still draped around him and emitting smoke. Eyewitnesses watched helplessly. A video now circulating online shows the victim unmoving as the cable sparks ominously on his back. Although his name had not been confirmed, said he recently got married, compounding the tragedy. O.C. Onuku, head of the Awka Capital Territory Development Authority, called the incident pathetic and preventable. We've warned repeatedly trading under high-tension wires is a suicide mission, he said. This tragedy is a painful example of the consequences of ignoring safety. Onuko urged residents to take responsibility for their own safety. Don't wait for us to enforce, be proactive, enlighten others. No life should be lost to avoidable negligence. The victim's death now stands as a grim warning and a call to act before it's too late. Sad, sad times with this. What are your thoughts on this report?
Just like you rightly said, it's such a sad report. You know, it's something that could have been avoidable on many levels. Just like was stated, in as much as people owe themselves their own safety, right? The safety of those around them. I feel like our society do not take this thing seriously. We can't just leave. We can't just put blames. I mean, sadly, the person is gone, but we can't just put blames on people that find themselves in these situations. You know, what happened to enforcement bodies that are in charge of these things? What happened to keeping these things in good condition? Right? It's one thing to have them in good condition and people being underneath it. It's another thing to have them in bad condition.
Right.
You being underneath it. I mean, even if someone wasn't selling something under it, it could be someone walking, and it happens. It has happened in this country on a few occasions. It could be walking, and the stuff just falls, right? Due to the bad condition that it's in. So, I mean, even the blame on people does not.
So are you saying that the enforcement, the reason this happened is because it wasn't enforced that people shouldn't have their shops or places of business under, you know, high tension wires? Or do you think that is there a possibility that this could have happened either way? Say someone is waiting under that high tension wire, waiting for a bus, waiting for some form of transportation, waiting for a bike, waiting for a tricycle, and this happens. Do you think that this is simply a case of negligence by citizenry or a case of negligence also by the government?
It's both ways. It's a case of negligence by citizens and the government. Why? The reason why I bring government into the mix is because when you make provision for something, when you keep something in good condition, you'd find out that, you know, there'll either be 0 to 0.1% of hazard or probability of hazard. You get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
When you leave them in bad conditions and you expect people to just, I mean, everyone tries to be safe. I mean, but if you expect people to just keep safe under bad conditions, that's more probability of accidents and hazards such as this happening.
Right.
I mean, there are situations where you find out that people are being chased off some, in quotes, good or major roads, or some might call it high-class living roads, right? And these people are trying to sell or make a living. You and I both know trading has been a thing in this part of the world for years.
Right.
And when you chase people from these roads or from these locations, they fall back to somewhere. And at the end of the day, some of them fall back to locations where they are being forced to pay some local bodies, in quotes. And then if they can't meet up, they are forced to now stay on locations or in locations that are not so safe, which is like this example. That some people put themselves under, close to transformers, under high tension, close to roads that, you know, they shouldn't be there, but that's where they can, that's the only option they have left. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people should act like they don't see that these things are dangerous. But
Right.
when you don't put things in place, when you don't enforce, I mean, these are the situations where you should even enforce more,
Mm.
not prioritizing some areas than others, right?
All
If
right.
this thing had not happened, like I said, it could be someone walking, and it happens. There was a video trending. I think it's over 2 or 3 years now. I think it was probably in the east where like a number of shops, like 4 or 5 shops, were literally became an high tension zone. I
Mm.
think a wire dropped and like a large area, if I may
Mm.
say so, was like it was there was a force field, like everybody was being electrocuted. People
Wow.
were trying to extend wood to move them away from that zone, but I don't know what later happened with that news, but it was such a scary thing to watch. That's just the reality. Now those people are trying to just sell probably car parts and whatnot, but it turns out to be that it's underneath high tension.
Now,
Then again,
you said these people had shops under the high tension.
yes, yes,
Before buildings are done, right? Before buildings are usually made, you take a permit for what you intend to build in a place,
yes, yes.
right? Who gives the permit for people to build this under high tension? And why do you think, these people aren't being watched to say you cannot build this here, right?
I
Because of this
mean,
high
yeah.
tension, right?
The truth is, we live in the country we live in, and um, there would always be illegal things going on. Generally, that was not part of the world, if I may say so. So in this part of the world, you find out that a place that is not I mean, these bodies are on ground, by the way. We have environmental bodies, you have safety bodies,
Right.
and all of that. But you still find out that people build in these hazard-prone areas, and that nobody builds in a vacuum. I'm sure they have paid some persons that met with the supposed
Right.
bodies, and they still let them do what they want to do. So it's just a mix of people just doing what they want to do. Sometimes you find out that these bodies just have agents that just give out access. Like, okay, you can go ahead, just bring this money, and you can go and do what you want to do. At the end of the day, it seems like a win-win situation because the person trying to procure that area is probably desperate, then
Hmm.
the offer is probably affordable. Then you find out that they're building there, and nobody says anything because I mean of course, like I said, everybody uh, thinks it's a win-win situation.
Okay.
And you have the issue of these poles. Like I said, the world is moving towards where you don't
Right.
see poles.
You just took it right out of my mouth. I was going to talk about, in this time, we will say that Nigeria is moving along with technology. Lots of things have been implemented. Lagos State government was able to, get a lot of criminal cars, as it were, cars that committed crimes in the state, using technology. Over 7,000 cars in the last month. Right. Now, this use of technology, and given how we now have the band A, the band B, and all of those structures and the extra bills. I mean, the what's it called? Joe Igbokwe, the APC chairman, yesterday was complaining about the cost of electricity tariff for band A. Now, given that we are now paying so much for all of this, at what point do you think, as a people, we are going to actually use technology on our electricity? And I'm talking about the poles, because when you look at civilized nations, usually you don't see this electricity line running around the streets. At what point do you think, as a people, we are going to head there where you don't get to see these high tension wires in real time?
I mean, it's just like you rightly said, we are in the technology era. I mean,
Right.
even before this era, people have developed nations, do not even understand the meaning of this high poles any longer because they have moved to the era of underground wiring, which will reduce the risk of high tension wires falling on people and whatnot.
Right.
I just feel like it's just priorities. Our leaders do not prioritize these things, or no, our leaders do not want to. How do I put it without sounding very offensive? Well, it's just a matter of priority. and telling yourself that let's just do the right thing, right? I mean, if you come, if you're a leader in your area or in your, let's not even go to the presidential level. Maybe in your area, you could take it up within yourself. Oh, during my tenure, I want to make sure there are no standing poles in my area. I mean, if people think like that, and we have like minds like that, before you know, the whole of Nigeria would be free of poles. Because you find out that I'm sure if you check your streets at home or maybe your workplace, if you go after a mile or two, you will see a pole that is nearly falling, and nobody said anything, or a wire that is literally almost touching a car. If you go to minor streets, that's where you find this happening a lot. On major streets, it might not be very visible, but if you go to minor streets or closes, you'll see wires that.
Right, and we have human beings living in this minor streets, whether it's minor or major.
So it's like living under, it's like living under risk, a very high risk. You know, because you could be going out with your kid, or you could be going out in your car on a bike and you fall. These things do not give you signs. You know, we don't have bodies checking them because, I mean, as we behave in this country, everybody should look out for themselves. But these are the things our leaders are supposed to prioritize.
All right.
I mean, electricity is what we need, but at least make sure it's safe. Why don't we start doing underground wiring? Well, nobody wants to take up that. Nobody wants to spend for that. Nobody thinks it's a priority. That's just it.
Sadly, so one more thought before we move on completely from this report, because it's really sad that this in itself could happen to anybody. Do you think that many people, trying to take up businesses and business spaces, are well sensitized and informed about the dangers of this high tension? Do you think that people know that this could become a fatal act if you get a shop or if you get a business under a high tension? Do you think many Nigerians are informed of the cons of, getting a business under a high tension? Do you think we're well informed as a people?
I do not think so. I wouldn't say I've been in a position to have maybe a shop or something close to a shop or something in such areas, or even a shop at all, if I may say so. But I haven't categorically seen an advert or an announcement or sensitization of any form, going around about, oh, do not build this under this. Now, bear in mind, you and I, as we are, you student,
right, I'm here.
You and I, as we are, we both know that these things are dangerous.
Right.
But like I said, people just play the cards they are dealt with. Now you sell maybe fruits, for example, right? You don't have the purchasing power to get a shop in a good environment, but just close to your house there's a free spot that looks free, and there's nobody there. Nobody will come and tell you to stop selling. You can just go there, run the shots, a temporary shade, and sell your stuff. But underneath it, there's like a high tension wire or a pole. You just feel, oh, I mean, this has been there for years, right? And nothing has happened. Let me just go and sell there. Just make ends meet. Bear in mind, it's not like if people do not know it's not dangerous, but you know how the human mentality works. You just tell yourself, well, let me just do what I have to do with what I have. And then find out that people are, till today, till tomorrow, if you take a stroll around, you will see someone in a very bad or in a hazard-prone location. I mean, we are fond of having transformers on streets in this part of the world, and that in itself is wrong, right? You see, you go to your market, you see people selling stuff beside the transformer, people having shops beside transformer. That is not right in itself, because under the transformers you have high tension cables, and you see these shops are coherent together. So if something happens to one shop, it happens to all of
the next business. Yes.
Nobody's saying anything, but that's just the reality we live in.
Sadly so. Sadly.